Previously in Digimon World 2. I started the game with Devimon as my partner, and we were destined to be the best of friends forever. After getting rid of it 5 minutes later, a Metal Greymon fell in love with us and joined the cause, alongside the cringy midlife crisis man and nightmare fuel in Digimon form. The evil Blood Knights started causing trouble in the hood, and we started beating the diddly out of them whenever we could. Then we ran into a pervert Greymon who wanted a little more than a Digimon battle, I feel, which we weren't willing to provide. We proceeded to lose quite a bit of actual sanity while chasing down Digimon at the behest of a degenerate, lying professor, and then we ran into a potential predator. Neat! Afterwards, we headed to File Island, the place from Digimon World 1, to save it from something. That dang island is always in danger, isn't it? Here we met Master Tyrannomon, who did not like strange people from strange places invading his territory. Maybe he should look into building a wall. Will we be able to figure out the mystery surrounding Digimon World 2? Can we beat the rest of this game without utilizing DNA Digivolution? Will this game actually become fun at some point? It is time, my friends, to answer all of those questions. So let's go. At the end of part 1, which you should totally check out if you haven't yet, we found out that Digimon has been kidnapped and we need to go and save him to figure out what's going on here. A whole lot of new domains for us to tackle on File Island. Yay! At least there are some new wild Digimon we can check out, as well as a different color palette for the walls. Wow, Digimon World 2 is really pulling out all the stops here to showcase its graphical superiority. It looks like a PlayStation 5 game now, right? Although the domain design continues to try and make me want to stop playing this game altogether. The Blood Knight Commander is the boss of this domain, and he slips us a bit of information regarding Crimson and his grand plan with the Chaos Lord and something called Gaia. But the only language our protagonist truly understands is violence, so words have no real meaning for him. This team looks a little too underwhelming, even if there is a mega level Digimon in there. Phantomon himself doesn't even do much, and as usual, it's the Digimon on the left that can cause us problems. Bakemon can cause confusion, and that can get nasty really quickly, we already know that. And the unassuming Davidramon hits pretty hard for a champion level Digimon, we already know that too. Although I know what you're wondering, why are we still running into champion level Digimon even at this stage in the game? I am wondering that too. But when it comes to Digimon World 2, I think it's best not to ask too many questions. There just aren't going to be any real answers. But once Bakemon goes down, the rest of them follow the same hit hard and heal when needed pattern we've been following for a while. Metal Mamemon did fall in the battle, but we get the win at the end of the day, so whatever. Heading to Giga Domain next, and it's completely dark inside. Our protagonist makes a mention of increasing radar power, but it's not clear what that is supposed to mean. So let's ignore this domain for the moment. Instead, let's head over to Port Domain, where we can find the infamous human centipede recreated with Tankmon. Some really messed up people worked on this game, it is quite apparent. Pumpkinmon becomes available as a wild Digimon now, but I am not particularly interested. Even though it does hit kinda hard, it takes a metric ton of damage in return too, so not exactly an upgrade to what we already have. After getting stalked by a couple of Mamemon for a while for no real reason, I had the pleasure of witnessing map design surely created by a highly disturbed and mentally distressed individual. I want to ask why, but I don't. I know better than to question Digimon World 2. It'll just give me a headache at the end of the day. Eventually, I made it to the next Blood Knight chump, and I am not kidding, this one really is a chump. To be honest, I don't think I even need to talk about this fight. Like, you are looking at their Digimon, right? The strategy is simple. Easy peasy, kick them in the groin and keep it breezy. We find an electroder on the floor after this fight, which we'll need in a moment. Heading back to Device Dome, we find Technodonna, who will upgrade our radar so we can actually see things in Giga Domain. Oh, so that was what our protagonist was rambling about before. There are some really cool looking new Digimon in here, including a blast from our past. Moving on, we meet the next nameless Blood Knight, and they ain't getting any cuter or better because this team looks particularly terrible. With 2 weak looking champion level Digimon. Great, another cakewalk in the cake park, right? Well, those were my initial thoughts, but things are a little weirder than they seem. Instinctively, I went after Zudomon, and I figured that is the right thing to do. But I could not have anticipated what happened next. Trust me, you are all in for a surprise too, my friends. See this weak-looking Tortomon? Looks weak, right? But trust me, it's gonna change everything. For whatever reason, after taking out Zudomon, this Tortomon will start spamming Mega Heal over and over either on itself or Ikakumon. Mega Heal recovers 150 HP. Our party cannot do over 150 damage in a turn. Do you see where I am going with this? It is the ultimate turtling strategy, and it's odd that it comes from some random nameless Blood Knight. I honestly think this might actually be a glitch rather than intended game design, but what do I know? Maybe this was one of the boss fights that the developers actually cared about for some reason. Megadramon could have helped out a lot as its attack disables healing for the turn for the target, but it only works if he moves before the Digimon being healed, which he doesn't most of the time as he is as slow as a turtle, while the actual turtle isn't as slow as one. Comedy? I tried this for a while, hoping I would get lucky somehow, but it just doesn't work. There aren't any critical hits in Digimon World 2, so you can't randomly deal more damage. So RNG can't really help us out here. So I was forced to eventually reset the game. I can't believe that I've had to rage quit. It's kinda funny, in fact, in a really, really annoying way. Okay, round 2, and this time I go after Tortomon from the start. It pretty much never uses Mega Heal as long as all the Digimon on its side are alive, even if itself is at low HP, which is a really weird way for it to work. And I've been using the word weird way too much, but it kinda makes sense for this fight, right? I am really thinking this is a glitch of some sort now. But after it goes down, it's all good from here on out. The other Digimon aren't hiding anything beyond mediocre damage output, and their bodies start hitting the floor pretty quickly. But this was kind of an interesting battle, if nothing else. And after the battle, we find Digimon, and he heads back to File City. We still have one more domain to take care of, so let's do that before we go hang out with him. More new Digimon to check out, including a set that looks quite a bit like the initial team we had for the tutorial at the beginning of the game. Nice. I was gonna catch something new here, but the shooter gun, which is required for shooting gifts, was damaged and I could not be bothered to go back and return, so we'll just do that later. There are plenty of nice items in this domain, so I kinda looked around and found as many good ones as I could. The next Blood Knight on the chopping block says that he isn't like all the other girls, and that's kinda true, because his team is quite a bit worse than the ones we've faced for quite a while now. Easy battle, no worries at all, just a couple of minutes and their entire team gets destroyed without a hassle. Heading to Digimon's place now, we learn about the whereabouts of Crimson and the Chaos Lord. But even Digimon does not know the location of the exact domain they are in. Well, what now, you may be wondering? Well, what we need to do is head outside and go back into Digimon's house. And magically, Digimon has now figured out what is needed to find the domain. Well, that's cool. I guess he just needed like 30 seconds. We need the Chaos Rings, and I feel like Sonic should be involved somehow. Before we can leave, there is an earthquake. Checking in at Digimon's house again, we find that a girl has popped out of nowhere. Huh, that doesn't usually happen during earthquakes around where I live. She can't remember anything, but our protagonist can't help but shoot his shot. Don't hate the player, hate the game, I guess. She is so disturbed by him, just like everybody else is, she instantly starts remembering stuff, and we find out that her name is Estina. Huh, I guess that Biyomon earlier wasn't suffering from schizophrenia or demonic possession after all. Well, we can't really do much about this right now, so it's time to go back to punching bad guys. Plenty of new domains to check out, but taking a detour to the Digimon Center, we find that we can get a Myotismon for a Dark Tyrannomon. That sounds like a good deal to me. I kind of forgot that I already had a Dark Tyrannomon from back in the day, and instead I went out of the way and caught another one, which cost a bunch of bits for the items that I needed to do that. Not a great financial idea, especially in this economy. But I figured I'll take on the boss before making the trade, and it's a cool looking Chaos War Greymon. Although I feel like his rhymes can definitely use more time to be a bit more sublime. Gotta take the time to make the words shine if you want me to make you mine. Well, it is Valentine's Day at the time of this recording, so... Chaos War Greymon is practically a Black War Greymon, which is my favorite Digimon, although it doesn't appear to have the signature skill Terra Destroyer, which really bums me out. The Triceramon has the Assist Invincibility, which neutralizes any damage dealt to the target for the whole turn, so obviously it needs to be handled first before we can do anything else. Thankfully, Chaos War Greymon doesn't do a whole lot and only uses Metal Greymon signature skill, which is quite disappointing and a little confusing. Shouldn't it have Skull Greymon's Dark Shot, if anything? There I go, trying to question Digimon World 2 again. I just haven't learned my lesson yet, have I? I really expected more from this fight. Like, why is this so easy and bland? Why doesn't Chaos War Greymon have any cool attacks? Oh, okay, I'm doing it again, aren't I? Oh, and Scorpionmon barely does anything at all, so once Triceramon goes down, the rest of it is easy enough. Great. 1 ring down, 2 to go. But before that, let's get our filthy hands on a Myotismon from the Digimon Center. I really hope one of these traded ultimate Digimon we are getting can get to level 31 before hitting the level cap, as that is when mega level Digivolutions are unlocked. But I'll be happy with just some nice skills too. Stats wise, it's pretty slow and its main attack consumes a lot of MP, but it does have access to another healing skill, so it's worth having around, I suppose. Megadramon is the one who will get replaced for the moment. You've done enough, Megadramon. It's time to take a well-earned rest. Oh, and here is another fun thing. The random wild battles are getting harder and harder to run from, and they take quite a bit of MP and effort to push through. One trick I use to avoid going through all my items is to beat up all but one weak Digimon and keep guarding to recover MP over and over while healing with Magna Angemon if needed. It's pretty effective if a little time consuming. Next up is Chaos Seadramon, and I am only hoping they'd put up more of a fight than the Chaos War Greymon we fought earlier. I have to say, Chaos Seadramon at least has a pretty cool party, aesthetically speaking, if nothing else. We know what Megadramon does, and I felt that it was best to take him out first, otherwise he'll get in the way of Magna Angemon's healing. As we know, enemy Digimon almost always outspeed the Digimon on my team, and Megadramon is the one I can't take too many chances with because of the dark side attack. Gigadramon, on the other hand, isn't a big problem. If their team had any way to inflict status effects, then it would be a whole other situation though, as Gigadramon's attack stops opposing Digimon from recovering from said status effects. So, beyond aesthetic value, I'm not sure why it's in the team here, but aesthetics trump effectiveness, I guess? Chaos Seadramon itself can deal a hefty amount of damage with Energy Blast, not to mention that the attack hits the entire party. And while our fancy new Myotismon does deal decent damage, he takes a lot of damage in return as well. So he is kind of a glass cannon, which makes sense, I suppose. Unfortunately, he did get knocked out here, so not the perfect debut for Myotismon. But the fight itself is pretty manageable, to be honest, as long as Magna Angemon keeps the party afloat. Truly, Magna Angemon continues to be the difference maker for our team. I don't know where we will be without him. After the battle, we get our second ring. One more to go. But I have to say, I don't feel super comfortable with this team. Myotismon is a little too fragile and Metal Maimon just doesn't do enough. I'll have to figure something out soon, I think. On our way to the last ring, we run into who else but our rival, who is on the nasty cheap stuff again. Come on, man, if you're gonna take something, can't you at least get the good stuff? Their team, bafflingly, still has a champion level Digimon on it, which really makes my head hurt at this point. Digitamamon can cause confusion, so it needs to go down ASAP. But it's nothing that we haven't seen before. But beyond that, our rival continues to be a big pushover. Unlike the rivals in Pokemon, who at least get objectively better as time goes on, this dude seems to be regressing. Well, after Bertrand is done embarrassing himself, we move forward to find Joy, who also appears to be under the influence again. That's what happens when you hang out with Bertrand, I guess. Misery loves company after all. The Digimon on the left has a skill that can cause confusion, which is kinda becoming the norm now. But it's pretty much the exact same battle as the last one, just with a slightly different party composition. And the battle is just as easy beyond the RNG nonsense that can happen due to confusion. Addiction is a dangerous thing, everybody. It really shouldn't be trifled with. If Bertrand ever invites you to a party, don't go. But it must have been one hell of a party because we have even more people to deal with who are blitzed out of their minds. Remember Mark? He gave us a toy plane a long time ago and helped us catch King Bobo the Metal Greymon. It's time to repay the favor. Messed up Mark brings a tough-looking team with him. 3 fancy ultimate level Digimon, and the trend of this domain continues because Angivumon, for some reason, can cause confusion. Bet you didn't think that sweet-looking Angivumon would do stuff like that, right? You can never really tell these days. Anyway, the problem is, the other 2 Digimon can pull their own weight and cause a decent chunk of damage on their own as well. If that was all that we needed to handle, it would have been no problem as our Magna Angemon can just keep us alive. But as is usual when it comes to confusion, it still comes down to RNG. The last few battles, the confusion did not end up being too much of a hassle, but this time around though, RNGesus was not on our side, as our Digimon pretty much just destroyed each other, eventually leading to a very annoying game over. Well, confusion was gonna bite me on the backside at some point, but it still sucks. The fact that Myotismon, being a virus type, is weak to all 3 of the opposing Digimon doesn't help, keeping in mind how fragile the poor thing already is. But on another note, we did start the last battle low on health, so this time I make sure I pick up more items and that I'm healed up beforehand. I'm still not gonna just rely on items here, even if confusion is really stupid. This time, I am able to focus down Angivumon before she can wreak havoc on our party. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, that's that then. Time to kick this old Blood Knight in the crotch and sing a happy song on the way to the next domain. And that's what I thought too, but life sometimes isn't that simple. Because putting down Angivumon leads us to our next problem. Their Magna Angemon has HP recovery as well. I know, the horror. Is this the Tortomon strategy again? Thankfully, it's not, because he won't use it every single time. But every time he does, it sets us back quite a bit. So this became a battle of attrition. I would focus the attacks on Magna Angemon, hoping he doesn't heal, and if he does, I recover the MP back by using the guarding trick and try again. I don't know exactly how long this took. After it didn't work for a while, I went to lunch and took a nap afterwards. Came back, tried for a while again, then went and had dinner, took a walk after that, tried again until at some point I got the RNG to run in my favor. I am not sure what I dislike more, the confusion or the Tortomon style healing. So basically, it takes an absurdly long time, but eventually I get the luck needed to put down Magna Angemon. After that, Garudamon is easy enough. Honestly, again, a very tough battle, at least with our current team. Mark has proven to be a strong one. But this party just does not know when to stop, as Debbie is up next. This battle has nothing on the one that we just went through though. I mean, sure, Piximon has Sonic Crusher too. Apparently it is required in this domain for at least one Digimon to know this move. But it misses the confusion on its first attack. Thank RNGesus. And the rest of the team isn't a threat in any way. Pretty easy fight. Moving on. Debbie still keeps simping for Palmon even while her brain is all screwed up, so that's good to see. Her priorities are in the right place. A little bit later, we run into our old pal, Chris Connor. As I remember, he also gave us a toy plane. He looks normal, but just like everyone else we've met so far, he also wishes to bring harm to our young protagonist. He is packing a Myotismon too, but he doesn't pack that heavy a punch. In a massive change-up, it's the Digimon on the right side that we need to be wary of instead of the Digimon on the left. Digimon World 2 is really pulling out the big guns when it comes to strategy, huh? But that is about the only unique thing about this battle, because it's pretty much the same thing as before. I am really regretting not bringing a bunch of confusion recovery items for this particular domain, but how was I supposed to know? Who came up with this? What does this even have to do with the story? Why is this domain a thing at all? When will I learn that I have to stop asking questions? Okay, I'm gonna try to calm down. Let's move on. More new Digimon are available, including Pangeamon, who is just a palette swap of Leomon, but I think a lot of people are into that sort of thing. And finally, it's time to take on the dealers responsible for all the illegal substance abuse that we've come across. At first glance, this looks like it's gonna be annoying as all hell, doesn't it? First, because there's just too much nightmare fuel to look at in this battle. And because both Gekomon can cause confusion, although it's not guaranteed, thank goodness. I'll be real with you. The only way this won't turn into a frustrating mess is for Myotismon to not get confused, as the Grizzly Wing does enough damage to take out both Gekomon at the same time after a couple of turns. RNGesus was back on my side in this battle, as Myotismon was able to stave off confusion long enough for this to work. To be honest, I didn't think much of Myotismon at first, but he has pulled his weight after all. But now, let's talk about the big boy, shall we? The Shogun Gekomon does appear to be intimidating, but it's actually really weird. His attacks don't cause confusion, which in itself doesn't make any sense. But even weirder, his attacks randomly heal my Digimon instead of causing damage. Okay, what the diddly is this supposed to mean? Are my Digimon enjoying this? Is Digimon World 2 trying to speak to me in some incomprehensible way? One could say that Shogun Gekomon has made me, the player, confused by his antics. Is that some kind of genius, fourth wall breaking move on the part of the person who created this fight? Or did they just make a mistake or something? I am betting on the latter, but you be the judge. So once the Gekomon are down, it's smooth sailing from there on, even if the rest of the fight did make me quite uncomfortable. Well, that was a lot of build up for nothing. Even worse, we gotta keep going. Chaos Piedmon is up next, who the game, in battle, refers to as Chaos Pierrotmon, which I think is the Japanese name, but I'm not sure. No real shenanigans here. All three of the opposing Digimon just hit kinda hard. It's always better when at least one of the opposing Digimon have a full party attack, as it enables the energetic bomb counter from my Metal Mamemon. But really, compared to the insanity that we've just been through in this domain, this battle isn't very high on the list. Get it? And with that, we have the final Chaos Ring. Sonic would be proud, I think. Back at Fall City, Digimon does a bunch of pro Hackerman moves and we get the location of Soft Domain. Yay! At this point in the game, I do realize that I should probably upgrade some Digibeetle parts, as domains continue to get longer and every floor is full of garbage traps that cause way too much damage. But because I have run away from most battles, I don't have a lot of money. I did try farming a little bit of bits, but the fights take too long when going up against ultimate level Digimon. So I kinda gave up and decided to just keep going the way I have by just buying lots of Digibeetle recovery items. Hey, it's worked so far. But I was getting a little tired of always using traded Digimon, so I wanted to catch something new and fresh. I fought a bunch of wild Digimon to see what moves they had, and the only one I really liked was Akuvamon. It comes with Duo Scissors Claw, and it's a game changer of a move, as it lowers the defense of the entire opposing party, guaranteed. Improving damage output is a big deal, trust me. And Akuvamon obviously looks like a hottie, so I nicknamed it appropriately. Onwards to Soft Domain, it's time to kick Chaos Lord in the Chaos Balls. And there is one more thing I should mention. You all should have noticed how long the domains are getting at this point, right? Now you can't normally save in the domain at all, even before a boss fight. Just another ingenious game design thing for Digimon World 2. So for any domain longer than 10 floors, I make a save state at the 10th floor, and then for every 5 floors, if it goes on even longer. I feel like that's only fair at this point, as I've been forced to reset because of a random return bug far too often already. And if I have to reset another whole domain because I got unlucky with confusion or something, then that will not end well. I gotta keep whatever remains of my sanity. I hope you all understand. Back to the game, and Mega Level Digimon can now be caught in the wild. And Pukumon looks pretty dull, but it hits like a freaking truck. Might be worth considering if I hit a wall soon, damage-wise. Before we can fight Chaos Lord, we run into Crimson once again. He is packing a Venom Myotismon, which looks really cool, I have to say. Venom Myotismon also has Grizzly Wing, so Crimson's entire team hits the whole party with each attack. Thankfully though, they don't hit too hard, so having Magna Angemon use HP recovery every turn kinda takes care of the whole problem by itself. As Magna Angemon is very slow and usually goes last in an entire round. For once, the slow speed of our Digimon is actually working out in our favor. And our new friend Cutie69 is already showing off what it brings to the table. As after a couple of Duo Scissors Claws, the opposing team is getting annihilated by our Myotismon. Didn't I tell you that this move was gonna be a game changer? The defense down effect stacks twice, so it's not gonna deal more and more damage each turn, but even this much damage is a big difference compared to the damage we were dealing before. Who needs a Mega Level Digimon when Cutie69 is around? We all need a cutie like that in our lives. And with that taken care of, Crimson decides to take a tactical retreat. And now, it's time for more psychotic map design. But this time, it's extra psychotic. Yay! We have to walk through a lot of damaging terrain because of reasons. I did consider that something like this may happen and brought a bunch of recovery items. But the one thing I could not foresee is just how degenerate things were about to get. GG Digimon World 2 domain map design person. You won this round and you should also be in jail for what you've done. Unfortunately, there is no way around it. We gotta head back and return better prepared. After a little bit of bit collecting, I think I'm gonna be ready this time around. Chaos Lord better appreciate the amount of effort I'm putting into seeing him. On an unrelated note, It feels kind of weird that a random wild Digimon that we just caught is so much faster than our other Digimon. And to be honest, I think our Digimon have always been the slowest in almost every boss fight. Maybe being slow is a thing for traded Digimon? Oh, and check out this happy family. Not something you see every day. Well, at least we don't have to fight Crimson again. Cool. And here we go. Map design person. Surely this time I will win. Wait, what? It just keeps going? Oh boy. How long does this go on for? What in the monkey is this map, bro? Nah, it wasn't enough. Map design person, who hurt you so bad that you had to make this? Well, I give up. It's time to farm money, baby. I found that the Digimon groups in this domain are easy to take down and offer a decent amount of bits in return. Although the map design person continues to remind me just how much they hate anyone who plays this game. Just give me a break, please. I don't like doing this. No one would. But I don't really have much of an option, to be honest with you. We have to upgrade the Digibeetle HP as much as we can in order to defeat the toughest boss of this game so far, the map design. I later decided to farm data type Digimon as I realized I had two virus types on the team in Myotismon and Akuvamon, which made it possible to finish the battles in one turn. Our cutie hits the level limit at level 28, which is unfortunately not enough to reach a mega level Digivolution. These are big sad times. After a ton of grinding and selling items found in domains, I was able to get the Dragon Engine. Back home, with the Dragon Engine installed, we can get the Adamantium core installed as well, which will allow even better upgrades if we wanted them. But I am bringing a whole bunch of recovery items with me just in case. And we can only hope that there are limits to the degeneracy of Digimon World 2's map design person. Surely, this has to be enough. Well, if you have been enjoying watching me suffer through this, then destroy the like and subscribe buttons in any order you prefer. And then you can gloat to all of your friends about how cool you are for destroying the like and subscribe buttons in the comments. You see, I too have a dream of seeing 100,000 subscribers. It is a strange dream, but if you all choose not to be strangers, then we can make that strange dream come true someday. Won't that be something? Anyway, enough dreaming. Back to the game. And here we go, in a fancy new red Digibeetle. Let's go. I am sure we can make it this time. We have to get to Chaos Lord in time for our date after all. Does it go on forever? Oh, God. Map design person, you are the real villain of this game. You've done plenty of horrible things already with return bugs and other random garbage thrown around everywhere, but this takes the cake. At times, this game just generates this pure, negative energy. The kind that makes you want to destroy controllers and burn the discs the games were on. But I have to push through this. I've come too far to give up now. I have no choice. After doing a whole bunch of money farming, because what else am I going to do? I was about to buy the upgraded item box which would allow me to hold more items, but then I found the arrow tires, which would nullify damage from certain terrain. I had not considered this before, and now I feel like this might be an absolute necessity. But I did keep a bunch of more recovery items just in case. And it turns out that the aero tires were what we needed to begin with. I don't know if knowing that makes me feel any better, cause now I just feel kinda dumb, not gonna lie. But here we are, finally. After all of that, it's time to face off against the Chaos Lord. He goes off on some kinda rant about peak evolution or whatever, but I don't really care anymore. I don't think I can care about anything anymore. Come on, Chaos Lord, give me the toughest fight ever. Make me feel like this has all been leading up to something worthwhile. Huh? Well, it turns out that the Chaos Lord is kind of a loser, really. The Chaos Cannon attack can hit multiple times in the same turn, but the damage is so middling and pathetic that it doesn't even matter. And not to mention that this is a 3v1 fight and Chaos Lord does not have any chance at all. Like, its move pool is so freaking weak. It's like an ultimate level Digimon at best. I don't know what the point of all this was. What it had to do with Blood Knights that was so important, and now Chaos Lord is gone and I don't know what to do. Well, at least Digimon is happy, so that's something. Not enough, but something. Back at HQ, it's back to business as usual before the whole File City thing threw a wrench into proceedings, so let's get back to hunting some Blood Knights. But before we do that, a little visit to the Digimon Center allows us to run into Estina again, who seems to be mumbling about something called Gaia. But we also get to know about the latest trade on offer, which is for a Magnadramon. That's a mega level Digimon, so you know we gotta get in on some of that action. Our first mega level Digimon, and a very slow one, speed-wise. In terms of attacks, it has two of them. I don't know what sad water is. Is it tears? Anyway, both of these attacks cost a ton of MP, so I hope they're worth it. Bug and Ram Domain, here we come. And the map design person is back with more dumb, insane stuff for us to deal with. Truly evil stuff right here. The Blood Knights are apparently beginning to take inspiration from a certain historical faction. That can't be a good thing. The battle itself is very underwhelming, but probably a step up from Chaos Lord. So does that mean this literal nobody was stronger than Chaos Lord? Probably. Other than that, literally nothing of note here, just bash them in the face and quickly move on. Yay! More unavoidable traps. Gotta love it. Random Blood Knight number 42 is up next, and another very middling team that we will have literally no issues dealing with. There are a lot of fights like this in Digimon World 2 when you stop to think about it. Just a ton of unnecessary padding for a game that really didn't need it. Oh, War Greymon in the wild. How cute. I would catch one, but Terra Force in this game is a weak-looking single-target attack, so I think I'm good with what I have. And look at me, actually maneuvering around the traps like a pro. I am getting pretty good at this, right? And now it's time for random Blood Knight number 43, and another horribly weak-looking team that we need to put into the ground. Onwards and upwards we go. After 17 freaking floors, which is a little too much when you think about it, it is time to face off against our somewhat competent rival Commander Damien once again. Will he at least be able to put up a fight? As expected of him, this team isn't too shabby at all. His Grand Kawagamon also has the same attack as our QD69, so things could get a little nasty really quickly, if we aren't careful. Oh, and hey, our old friend EX Tyrannomon is back, which means that its pretty attack is still a problem. Oddly enough, QD69 does have access to a champion level technique in Fossil Bite, which can be used while under the motivation down effect. Wow, that QD just keeps getting better. Magnadramon, our newest acquisition, hits really absurdly hard after our QD does its thing. And Magnadramon can take hits kinda well too. A welcome addition to the team, although the MP cost does mean that it has to take a break from attacking every couple of turns. So this fight isn't as problematic as it could be unless we get really unlucky with the pretty attack. Specifically, if it keeps Magnangemon demotivated too long, which is kinda what happened. I know, this again. I got a little carried away and lost both QD69 and Magnangemon. But they didn't really need the EXP anyway, so it's no big deal. Commander Damien, as usual, runs off after getting whipped by a little boy. Can't imagine what this must be doing to the poor man's self-esteem. Alrighty then, Ram Domain is up next, starting with Random Blood Knight number 44. Shockingly, this Random Blood Knight is packing some heat with 2 Mega level Digimon. Machine Ramon's Giga Cannon works very similarly to the Chaos Cannon we've seen before. Hits multiple times but doesn't do a lot of damage. I guess old Chaos Lord was just a slightly edgy Machine Ramon to begin with, huh? But the lethal combination of QD69 and Magnadramon is still more than enough when it comes to damage output, while Magnangemon keeps the team alive. The battle does look tough, but we can deal with it rather easily. Time for Random Blood Knight number 45. Now, Metal Tyrannomon may look really ugly, but that's because it is. Other than that, there really isn't anything else about this fight that's very noticeable at all. Boltmon does kind of decent damage, but it's not enough. We just have to keep hitting everything with some sad water to pick up an easy win. I ran into Grand Kawagamon, which looks really yummy to be honest. Magnadramon tends to get stuck because of the high MP cost that its attacks require. So I felt it would be nice to have a backup Digimon. Mr. Jiggy has some really nice stats, very cool, although it does not have the Duo Scissors clause, so QT69 has got to stick around. Just too valuable. Eventually, we hear the shrill screams of a small girl, which means it has to be Commander Damien. Who else would it be? Commander Damien is doubling down on his degenerate behavior by bringing an entire team which can cause motivation down. This is what losing to a kid too many times does to a man, huh? Once again, RNG is going to play a big role, but the fact that QD69 has a usable attack is pretty important. There is not much else we can do here beyond taking the opposing Digimon out one at a time while hoping that the motivation down effect goes away quickly. Items will be needed, there is just no way around it. But I will still stick to the limit for items that I set in the beginning. The one redeeming factor here is that Commander Damien's crew doesn't deal a lot of damage, so we have plenty of time for the RNG to eventually turn in our favor. As long as Magnangemon is around, we have plenty of time. But still, it is a very annoying fight. There is just no way around it. Eventually, after a battle of attrition against a status effect more or less, we are able to put Damien's Digimon 6 feet under. Afterwards, our older rival's self-esteem continues to take further damage as he employs a tactical retreat once more. Our leader is beginning to lose his grip on the English language as he desperately wants us to figure out where Crimson is. At the main entrance, we find a suspicious character who is apparently a terrorist in hiding. While you ponder who this character could possibly be, the game immediately gives it away in a manner that I don't feel was completely intended right here. Oh, and Estina is doing stuff? Alright then. Heading over to the Colosseum, we run into the mysterious stranger once more. Our protagonist uses the immense power of all 3 of his remaining brain cells to employ a genius strategy, who the stranger immediately falls for. Amazing! We got a young Sherlock Holmes on our hands here. At the Tamers Club, we find Commander Damien, who goes off screen while our protagonist just stands there and comes back after changing outfits. And my head is beginning to hurt while thinking about all this. Apparently, Damien had intended to blow up the entire city, which is wow, okay, that took a turn in a direction I wasn't expecting things to go in. But amnesia-ridden Estina, of all people, thwarted these intentions somehow. Not exactly sure what happened. I wonder what the guard team leaders are doing in this game while all this is going on. Well, after a couple of more weird and dumb moments, Damien is finally captured and put away for the rest of his life, I presume. So one of our rivals is a moron and the other is going to prison. Huh, what do you guys think? Are you Team Bertrand or Team Terrorism? Leave a comment and let me know. Anyway, afterwards, Estina wants to know about something called Gaia. Huh, I think we've heard that name before. It turns out that the robot thing that Kim has been messing around with is what she is looking for. Apparently, this is the backup Gaia, and the OG Gaia needs to be stopped. Huh? Okay, so there is a kind of deep narrative going on here with very strong The Matrix vibes. It's all kinda coming out of left field, I feel. But the 3 brain cells that our protagonist has to work with obviously are insufficient to understand the gravity of the situation. And this game has done enough damage to my own sanity that I don't feel myself particularly caring about the plot at this point. Instead of trying to explain what's going on, backup Gaia and Estina decide to just leave. Alright then, keep your secrets. Back at HQ, it appears that Damien has decided, without any torture or coercion whatsoever, I'm sure, to tell our protagonist about the whereabouts of Crimson. Damien throws in a line about Crimson being controlled by something. Okay. Well, it's time to stock up on some new stuff, for we are about to head to ROM domain for our final confrontation with Crimson. So here we are. Crimson talks about wanting to know who the strongest organism is, which initially I thought he was talking about the strongest orgasm, but I wasn't gonna question it either way, to be honest. It's Digimon World too, anything can happen. But basically, Crimson wants to be the best like no one ever was, so he decided to digivolve like no one ever has before. Well then, we have no other choice but to beat the monkey out of him. Neo Crimson looks like a slightly redder, edgier Black War Greymon with Machine Ramon's cannons. Okay, cool. It is another 3v1 fight which Digimon World 2 has not been able to balance so far. But really, this fight takes the cake, I have to say. You have no idea what's coming, trust me. Not only is Neo Crimson outfitted with a garbage moveset, but he has a unique attack that, for no real rational reason, can just hit himself. Why? Why does this, one of the major bosses of this game, have this attack? The attack doesn't even do a lot of damage when it does hit us. But this is the essence of Digimon World 2, I think. Nobody put a lot of thought into what was going on 99% of the time, or maybe all of this is some kind of inside joke for the developers. Who can say, really? I don't want to say anything else about this fight. It would be quite difficult to lose this, I feel, even if we had a substantially weaker team than the one we do. Afterwards, Crimson gives us some sound advice and reminds us about the Matrix stuff we heard not too long ago. And then Crimson, perishes? I'm not sure what happened here. The Digibeetle went somewhere, who knows? I don't think even the game knows where he went. Well, anyway, back at HQ, the leader mentions that we still don't know everything and there might be a bigger evil that we need to deal with. Oh, great. But before we can do that, he wants us to go back to the Colosseum and rank up again. The mysteries surrounding the world and the great evil can wait, apparently, until we do. Well, not much else to do then. The thing is, Because we haven't been doing the tournaments in a timely manner, most of the fights here are pretty outdated compared to the team we have now. So the vast majority of the fights here barely last more than a turn or two. But there is still time for one more battle against our rival, the one who isn't in prison, I mean. Yes, they are back one final time to show us exactly how good they are. A grand finale for our rivalry, a battle for the ages. Okay. Well, it was my fault, to be honest. I shouldn't have gotten my expectations up. Kids, this is what happens when you take illegal substances, so stay away from them, okay? After the battle, Bertrand runs off crying. A fitting end to this rivalry? I don't know. Hard to call it that in hindsight. Bertrand fans will have a hard time living this down. That's for sure. If you happen to not have enough money to participate in a tournament, it appears the game starts falling apart as the ghost of a Gold Hawk team member tries to convey a dark message from beyond the grave. Or it's shoddy programming, either or. Anyway, the final tournament is going to be against the leaders of the guard teams, starting with our own leader. Let's see why they call him the Black Comet. Okay. Our suspicions regarding the leader's competence are proven to be true as he brings two rookie-level Digimon to the battle. Seriously, what the heck? Yeah, why did you include Devimon in the team, sir? Do you have some severe brain damage we don't know about? Okay, next up is Vander, and I don't remember which team he is the leader of, so whatever, let's go. Vander has a thing for Maimon as he brings every variety and they all have counterattacks. An easy way to handle this is to hit them with a party-wide attack first because they will only ever activate a single counter and not all three for some reason. Maybe it's a glitch, maybe it's a feature. It's best to just keep our heads down and not think too hard about this. Still, this is a very easy battle regardless. Prince Maimon hits the hardest, but even then it's not by much. Even our protagonist is perplexed by the strange Maimon fixation on display, which Vander makes no effort to hide, so great. And now, it's time for the final battle, and this one is going to be against the final guard team leader, Cecilia. Now, you might think that this one might be similar to the other two we fought so far, and let me tell you one thing right now, it's not. We are not only going up against 3 mega level Digimon, no, that's not enough. This is, actually, shockingly, the hardest battle we've had in this game yet by an incredibly substantial margin. Let's look into why that's the case. Okay, so first up, Marine Enjimon has Ocean's Love, which causes motivation down. But sure, we've seen that plenty of times before. What's the big deal? Well, in my first battle, the motivation down impacted Magna Enjimon for too long, and you know how bad that can be, but it's especially bad here because you can't use items to heal in the Colosseum battles. With their entire team pounding away at my unmotivated Digimon, things pretty much ended fairly quickly. Okay, that's unfortunate, but that's just some RNG. We can get past that. We've done that a lot of times already. So what's the big deal? I'm sure you're wondering. Oh, trust me, we'll get to that. On my second attempt, I made sure that the party was completely healthy before I went up against Cecilia, because the health and MP does not reset between fights, using the old guarding trick. I was pretty confident this time. So as soon as the fight started, I went after Marine Enjimon and got pretty lucky with the motivation down effect not lasting too long. So job done, right? We are out of the woods now? You would think so, but no. You see, Digimon World 2 is about to go Super Saiyan right here, brother. After Marine Enjimon went down, Magnadramon started spamming full HP Cure, which is a max recovery move in case the name didn't give it away. But although that looks pretty terrifying, even that is not the worst part. You see the harmless looking Digimon who hasn't done anything besides using weak attacks? Well, he's not harmless because he has access to the assist Hung on Death, which is a max revival move, which I didn't even know was a thing in this game. So taking down Marine Angemon first does not work, because Digimon will just bring it back up. So logically, I figured maybe taking out Digimon first is the key. That would make sense, right? But Digimon World 2 is about to go Super Saiyan Blue or Black or something, because we are screwed on that end as well. Because for some ungodly reason, Marine Angemon has Crimson Flame, which is also a max revival move, so it doesn't matter who you knock out first. It's truly shocking to me how much of a massive jump this is from whatever we've had to deal with so far. 2 battles ago, we were dealing with 2 rookie-level Digimon. Makes you wonder where this came from. Honestly though, the rest of the game might have been more fun if it had been designed by the same person who designed this. Maybe they just wandered into the office one day, designed this battle, and left, never to be seen again. Or maybe the people who designed the rest of the game did not like being overshadowed by some random new guy, and took care of him, if you know what I mean. Wow, that's new headcanon for me. Well, the only way to win here, as I'm sure you all have figured out as well, is to knock them all out at the same time. Thankfully, we do have a Digimon sitting around with really strong party-wide attacks. With that strategy though, it's actually surprisingly easy to get this done. Their Magnadramon apparently suffers from the Tortomon syndrome and will not heal until someone goes down, which means as long as our Magnadramon can keep pushing out the damage, which isn't that hard after a couple of hits from the cutie, then the battle can be won fairly quickly. Still, Cecilia put up a very good fight, respect where it's due. But with that, we are done. We are the champion of the Colosseum, which is something cool. Heading back to HQ, we get a scene which basically is a massive exposition dump, and we learn that the whole Colosseum thing actually served a purpose, which was to find the strongest tamer. The guard team leaders before us were the strongest, which I understand as far as Cecilia is concerned, but it kind of baffles me as to how our leader got there. I am pretty sure even Bertrand would have given the leader a run for his money, and Bertrand sucks. Well then, after a whole lot of talking, now that we are better than the leaders, we now have to confront the being known as the Guardian. As usual, our protagonist and his 3 remaining brain cells cannot grasp what's going on, but he's going along for the ride anyway. We are told that we must now face the Guardian in a new world called the Kernel Zone. After thinking about what he will have for dinner after this, our protagonist loses his train of thought and decides to go to the Kernel Zone. At the Digimon Center, we can get our paws on a Metal Garurumon for a Metal Seadramon. Nice! You know we gotta do that first. Even though Metal Seadramon itself is a Mega level Digimon and looks very cool, I have to say, but without any funky skills, I feel like the trade makes more sense. Metal Garurumon does have better stats, and who doesn't like Metal Garurumon? But for whatever reason, it appears to have Venom Infusion, which I think is Venom Myotismon's signature skill. I'm not gonna ask questions. Very cool, with our brand new Mega level Digimon, it's time to head out. Bertrand apparently has lost all hope at this point. Good. Time to go to the shuttle port, where we will bear witness to another amazing FMV sequence. Just look at them graphics. Looks like we are heading to space. There is only one location here at the moment though, the core tower. The place looks pretty funky, so we know we are not on Earth anymore. And there are all sorts of wild Digimon here, all the way from rookie level Digimon to Mega level. This also happens to be the longest domain so far at 24 floors, but I kinda got the feeling that they were really running out of ideas or time at this point, because the floors tend to repeat quite a lot. Trust me, there is like a ridiculous amount of repetition. Just check this out. I think most of the domain is just these two floors repeated over and over. And I mean, I've seen repeated floors before, but not to this extent. You get the feeling that the developers really stopped caring altogether at this point. Anyway, at the 24th floor, we meet the Guardian. He talks about the role of the Guardians and what they did for the Tamers and Digivolution and all that stuff. This is the virus type Guardian, so I guess the Guardian we face depends on the team we chose at the beginning of the game. For anyone who's looking for replay value for this game. Well then, he wants to fight to see if we are worthy. Sure, let's go. The fight against the Guardian is another 3v1 affair, and we know how well those have gone so far, and this fight is no exception. To be fair, the Guardian does have a decent assortment of skills, but it just can't handle 3 Digimon. Although it appears that Venom Infusion may not do anything against boss Digimon, which is a shame. That kinda makes it useless for us then. But it's no big deal, really. The Guardian does hit pretty hard, but nothing that Magna Angemon and his healing can't fix. Stun Punch can paralyze, but it shouldn't matter simply because the 3v1 is just too big of an advantage. So we just gotta keep pounding at the Guardian until it eventually stops moving, just like all the rest. And this really does feel disappointing. Oh well, after the battle, the Guardian reveals all the secrets, as the story of Digimon World 2 starts to digivolve into that of something directly resembling the Matrix, instead of something that took inspiration from it. In order to free everyone from the Matrix here, we have to defeat Overlord Gaia, our final objective. And you all know what that means, right? It's time to go shopping. Truth be told, Chaos Tower is quite similar to the Core Tower in that the floors tend to repeat a lot. We can even find floors from the very first domains too. But more importantly, lots of new Digimon to be found here, including Machine Dramon. But considering how much of a pushover the Guardian was, I don't have high expectations of the final boss. The domain has 20 floors, oddly less than the Core Tower. And on the 19th floor, the game equips us with some really good items, preparing us for the final battle. And here we are, the culmination of all the stupid, frustrating, and at times mind-boggling nonsense that we've faced so far in this game. It is time to face off against Overlord Gaia, who is very full of himself. Big ego right here. He wants to become the strongest being of all and become God and yada yada yada. You know the drill. Can't go 2 days without someone trying to become God or the ultimate organism or something, especially in JRPGs. Seriously. Well, the remaining 3 brain cells of our protagonist work hard to formulate a joke to relieve the tension in the air. It doesn't work, so it's time for violence to do the talking. Oh wow, this is another 3v1 battle that Digimon World 2 is very fond of but is unable to balance in any meaningful way. Our friend Gaia's Phantasmic Bomb deals a good chunk of damage, which Magna Angemon surprisingly takes quite well, but it's nothing that we can't literally recover from. The ultimate battle looks to be just another disappointment, and I can't believe Commander Damien put up more of a fight. Is this the end? Is this all that Overlord Gaia had to offer? Well, no. It looks like it's not over yet, surprisingly, as Gaia says he did not hear no bell, and he wants to throw hands one more time, baby. Round 2 is gonna be very different, as it's now a 3v3 proper battle. The arms are a real nuisance as they can inflict defense down on our whole party. Our cutie has been doing that for us for a while, so I know exactly how terrible that can be. Overlord Gaia now hits even harder than before, so with the defense down effect, Magna Angemon, it appears, may not be able to keep the party alive if the arms, who do have attacks of their own, start focusing on QD69, who is the most vulnerable Digimon of our team. Wow, we live to see a day where Magna Angemon can't keep everybody alive. But even with items, things aren't looking particularly good here. Venom Infusion does nothing, and Metal Garurumon doesn't do enough damage. Shockingly, the final boss is living up to some kind of standard here. Magna Angemon, as great as he has been, is unable to sustain the party at this rate. And I suppose I wasted a few too many turns with Venom Infusion, so that kind of set me back as well. But pretty soon, the fight becomes practically unwinnable after QT69 goes down. Well, that was very unexpected. But with Metal Garurumon not being able to pull his weight, I went around looking for another alternative. This Hercules Kabuterimon looked really cool, so I thought maybe it could provide the answer. Its main skill, Giga Scissors Claw, could make an enemy's attack miss entirely. I thought maybe our new friend Vaka could be an upgrade to Metal Garurumon or something. Worth a shot, at least. I also took a keen interest in Phoenixmon, but I just couldn't figure out how to catch it. It is only available on the 19th floor of Chaos Tower, as far as I could tell, which always had the same layout. The areas that this group spawned in did not have enough room for me to shoot enough gifts to even get a small heart, let alone a big one. That is, even if I used toy planes, and there isn't a better gift item in the game, at least I didn't know of one. So I guess Phoenixmon is kinda out of the question for now, and there aren't any new trades available either. So I guess we just have to move on, try something different with what we have. So let's get on with round 2 with Vaka in the party. Our new boy takes hits very well, but unfortunately, there is a small problem. Giga Scissors Claw always misses, so I think this just won't do anything against bosses like Venom Infusion. That kinda makes Vaka practically useless, as its other attack is a rookie level technique, which barely does anything. So even though I can get past Gaia stage 1, stage 2 would still kick my butt. My team at the moment just doesn't have the damage output to handle this. Alright then, round 3. I try again with Metal Garurumon in the party, except this time I just go for the damage instead of the pipe dream that is getting Venom Infusion to work. It does get closer than before, but again, the problem is I just can't deal enough damage with Metal Garurumon. Our cutie ain't gonna survive the whole battle, that's just a given. So we need more damage output before it goes down, but Metal Garurumon just isn't gonna cut it. We are just talking about raw numbers here, and we need more of them. So I looked around more, trying to find a Digimon that can help in this situation, and I did consider a few different Digimon, but then I just decided I might have the answer already. So, one more time, I went back to the drawing board, and this time, I bring the ugly fella who helped take care of Cecilia. Magnadramon might be the key. Both Fire Tornado and Sad Water Blast deal a very respectable amount of damage after a couple of Duo Scissors Claws. Magna Angemon pretty much won't get to attack this entire battle, and its whole job is to keep using HP recovery every turn, as it's the slowest Digimon on the field as usual, which means we'll start every turn nearly at full health, at least for the beginning of the battle. Our cutie will fall eventually, but as long as it sticks around till we get the 2 hands off the board, then it still might be doable. Before the hands go down, Gaia itself will only use the tubular attack counter. After the hands are gone, it'll switch to using Light Gun, which is a single target attack instead of a party-wide one like the counter, but it hits very hard and we don't have any way of getting rid of the defense down effect from the arms, so we just gotta take the hits on the chin. And here, it does become a battle of wills. It all depends on whether we can put down Gaia before we run out of MP and get knocked out while trying to guard. I was purposely trying not to use another item here, just to see if it's doable. And it really did come down to the wire. But at the very end, with one final sad water blast, Magnadramon was able to put down Overlord Gaia, and finally, after all the headaches and heartache that we've had to endure, finally, it's over. And there we have it. We get to watch a swanky little FMV sequence, parts of which can be nightmare fuel, depending on your tolerance for nightmares. But we have proven that it is entirely possible to beat Digimon World 2 without ever messing around with the DNA Digivolution system. No grinding required whatsoever. Does that make it a better, more fun game? I don't think so. It's slow as hell, pretty boring with disgusting amount of garbage map design. I had to play the fights at a faster speed to even tolerate it. The story was there. The File Island bit really felt tacked on, but I suppose padding out games used to be the norm back in the day. I still don't know what happened to Crimson. Maybe he's still out there somewhere? But to be honest, the whole "we are actually trapped here like in the Matrix" thing kinda came out of nowhere for me. But more than the story, the bosses are badly designed for the most part, especially the 3v1 fights. They were all terrible. I'm still glad I finished the game though. For those of us old-timers who could never get around to finishing the game because of the disturbing amount of grinding involved, now you know that it's doable. After the credits, we do get to jump back into the game, although some time has passed. With Gaia gone, people here are now able to get back to the real world, and they can jump back into the digital world whenever they want. Everybody thanks the child who saved the world, while the adults fiddled their thumbs and barely lifted a finger to do anything. There is, oddly, another trade available at the Digimon Center. Why would we care at this point? Well, there is another optional domain we can take a shot at. The fun part? It has 99 floors. I am not gonna bother with this right now, as it has nothing to do with the main game. Although I have heard that there may or may not be a mysterious, hidden Digimon hanging around at the 99th floor. I might take on that investigation if enough people are interested. If you would want to see that, or if you would like to suggest some other challenge run or something, do let me know in the comments. I am sure there are a few more challenge runs that we can do in this game, like no items or no traded Digimon, but that would be very, very disturbing to do. But if you guys really want to see that, I might try. But now, the world has been saved. Some people, like the leader, will now do what they most cherished in life but were not able to do before. Like simping. Oh well, have at it, leader. As for me, I think I deserve some rest too. My brain needs a little time to recover from this game. Well, I hope you all had a great time, but it's goodbye for now. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.